Thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me to be here this afternoon because, as I said this morning, ethics is very important to Rotary. And as a matter of fact, it's embodied in our definition of Rotary. Rotary is an organization of business and professional persons united worldwide who provide humanitarian service, encourage high ethical standards in all vocations, and help build goodwill and peace in the world. When I was asked to do this, I thought I would go to Webster's dictionary to get a definition of ethics. And it states, a system of moral values, the principle of good conduct, a study of right and wrong in action. These right and wrong actions pertain to each of us every day in our lives, in our businesses, and in our community. It's not just a business issue or a social issue or a political issue. Ethics is involved and is certainly a personal issue. Ethical behavior involves demonstrating respect for key moral principles, including honesty, fairness, equality, dignity, diversity, and individual rights. King Solomon once said, "The ways of right living, people glow with light. The longer they live, the brighter they shine. But the road of the wrongdoing gets darker and darker. Travelers can't see a thing, they fall flat on their faces." As we travel the right road, we must also remember the Golden Rule, a version of which exists in just about every culture. In Christianity, it says, "Whatever ye would that men should do to you, do even to them." In Islam, it says, "No one of you is a believer until he loves for his neighbor what he loves for himself." Judaism, "What is hateful to you, do not do to your fellow man." That is the entire law. All the rest is commentary. Buddhism, "Hurt not others with that which pains yourself." Hinduism, "This is the sum of duty. Do not unto others what you would not have them do unto you." Confucianism, "What would you do not want done to yourself, do not do to others." And a proverb from Nigeria, "One going to take a personal pointed stick to pinch a baby bird should first try it on himself to feel how it hurts." The Golden Rule is the closest thing to a universal guideline for ethics a person could find. There are only two important points when it comes to ethics. The first, the standard to follow, and the second is the will to follow it. In 1921, at a convention in Edinburgh, Scotland, Paul Harris said, "Since the beginning of civilization, there has been a surplus of sayers of things. If there is any one particular in which I would have Rotary distinguished from other organizations, it is the quality of character which results in the doing of things." Let me give you 5 things that compromise ethics. 1 is pressure, cutting corners, bending the truth. Corporate executives feel pressure to increase stock values. Students feel pressure to get better grades. All of us face pressure every day. 2 is pleasure, normally short-lived and leaves an individual unfulfilled. The desire for bigger homes, fancy cars. And Robert Brown once said, "I walked a mile with pleasure, she shattered all the way, and she left me none the wiser for all she had to say. I walked a mile with sorrow, and she had never a word said she, but oh, the things I learned from her when sorrow walked with me." 3rd is power, the abuse of power and of position. Harry Truman once said, "If a man can accept a situation in a place of power with the thought that it's only temporary, he comes out all right. But if he thinks that he is the cause of power, that can be ruination. Fourth is pride. Pride can blind you to your own faults, to the people's needs, and to the ethical pitfalls that lie in your path. A 19th century writer and critic, John Ruskin, stated, "Pride is at the bottom of all great mistakes." And fifth is priorities. A German novelist once said, "Things that matter most must never be at the mercy of things that matter least." So as we face these compromises each day, let's recall and apply our four-way test as an ideal for operative behavior for all people. It is our yardstick for living. It is applied to virtually every area of life. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? This test will always lead to ethical behavior. And that is the formula for success in everything we do. Can you imagine the impact of the world if all people used the four-way test all the time in their dealing with all people? We should be teaching our children from the very early years this formula for success and getting along with family, playmates, school, and on into their business careers. If we teach them well and lead the way by example, there will be less conflict, less strife, and less war in the world. A past president, Glenn Estes, tells the story of his serving on the registration committee for a district conference and receiving a call from the credit manager of a large department store offering a store credit card to each Rotarian registering for the conference. When Glenn answered the phone, he explained that he could not vouch for the creditworthiness of each and every registrant. The reply came back, "Sir, if they are Rotarians, that is reason alone for us to feel confident issuing the cards." Another example of high ethical standards and integrity is Jim Alderson, an accountant who accused health care giants in the United States of financial malpractice. When he asked himself why did he get involved, his answer was very simply, and I quote, "You don't always know why, but when you see your children and you realize you may have lost your job, your career, most of your savings, everything you've worked for, but if you lose your children's respect, it's something that cannot be replaced." I knew that when it was over, no matter how it turned out, I wanted to be able to look at my children in the eye and tell them that truth and honesty really do matter. Integrity is doing the right thing when no one else is watching. Henry David Thoreau said, "Goodness is the only investment that never fails." If all of us live by the golden rule, practice the four-way test, then we truly will be an organization of high ethical standards and role models for all mankind. We must recall the Declaration of Rotarians in business and profession, guidelines for the high ethical standards called for in the object of Rotary, and once again recall the words of Paul Harris. Quote, "Rotarians do not believe that success can be measured in dollars, nor that business is merely a means to an end. They think that honorable business is an elevating influence." As Rotarians and as individuals, we should lead by example, treat people better than they treat you, walk the second mile, help people who can't help you, do right when it's not the natural thing to do, keep your promises even when it hurts. Integrity is a personal matter. It can be described as making your beliefs and your actions line up. The young, the old, and indeed the unborn cannot help but cherish Rotary's principles and visionary leadership. Thank you.